People sometimes have problems or pains and aches that they have throughout their body, sometimes in their hips, sometimes in their knees, sometimes in their feet. And a lot of the times it's because of what's happening in the ankles, or more importantly, what's not happening in the ankles, and the mobility that we're lacking. And so this is a exercise that you can do standing, but let's start seated, because you need to make sure you have really good control over what's happening in the feet. So I'm going to bring my feet in so that I'm a little bit closer than a 90-degree angle on the bottom of my foot, and I want to make sure my feet are straight. So many times we stand with our feet turned out like that, so you want to make sure those feet are nice and straight, and it should feel a little bit awkward to be perfectly honest. So what you're going to do is you're going to push through the toes, push through the pad of the foot, so right underneath the toe base here, and we're going to raise the heel. But the thing I want you to do is I want you to be very mindful of what's happening with the foot, okay? So we want to make sure that the ankle is not dropping out to the side, or it's not falling into the inside, and we want to try and get as much range of motion and get as high as we can into that toe base. So imagine you're standing in really high heeled shoes, or you're trying to walk on your tiptoes, yeah? So we're going to do one foot at a time. We're going to do a few on one side, and then we'll go over to the other side. So you're just going to gently push through that base of the toes. So you want to make sure you don't really contract the calf muscle. It's going to contract a little bit, but don't make it really forceful. Right now I feel my foot is a little bit farther from my body than I want, so I can actually bring it in, and then I'm going to go up. There we go. Now I can get a little bit more, and if you can see, my ankle just pushed out to the side, and I don't want that. So we want to make sure that the weight is distributed evenly across the toe base when you're pushing through that foot, and then you're just going to drop it down, and you're going to repeat. So be very mindful of what's happening with the foot. Where is the weight? Is it more on the big toe end? Is it more on the little toe side? We want to have it evenly distributed across the whole front of that foot, okay? And nice and gentle, and you want to make sure that you can get as high as possible. You might not have a lot of mobility, and I want to show you just from the side so you can see. So I'm going to bring my foot in a little bit more so you can see that angle, right? And then I'm going to bring my foot, so now my ankle, you can, I don't know if you can see, it went out to the side. I don't want that. So I don't want the weight on the outside. I don't want it mostly on the inside. I want it nice and even. You're just going to hold for a couple of seconds. Now for some people, what you'll be focusing on actually is trying to get your foot straight, because for some people you may have your foot turned out to the side like this, because this might be your normal. So then when you push up, see how you're on the angle? We don't want to be on the angle. We want to be nice and straight. And we're going to go over to the other side. So I'm going to set up my foot. I like it in a little farther. The more you practice this, the more you'll be able to see what feels the best for you as far as forward or backward positioning of the foot. But again, you want to make sure that you're not really super focused on contracting the calf muscle, because I actually want this to focus on the mobility of the ankle, okay? And again, you probably, I don't know if you can see, but I have less range of motion in this ankle, and so that's okay. You may do this standing up, but if you do it standing up, then you are loading the muscles, so that means the calves have to do more work. So you might actually find your calves are doing more work than the ankles. And if you have tight calves, that's exactly what's going to happen. So I encourage you to do it seated. If you want another alternative as well, when you feel a little bit more confident and you can really feel what's happening with your feet, you can do both feet at the same time. But be mindful of what's happening with your ankles, what's happening with the calf muscles, and you want to make sure that you're not contracting the muscles that you don't need to, because we actually are working the ankles and the feet.